Hey guys, so when it comes to content creation, I've been trying my best on this channel to kind of give you the explanations on how to like move your body. And we have covered movements such as the hinge movement, but now I'm going to explain the best ways of kind of getting your best hinge movement done. So a hinge movement is done with anything done with the hinging of the hips. Kind of think of the body as a open door. So at the moment we are completely open, and when we hinge over, we are closing the door, and the brackets here are our hips and our glutes. No different to a door, right? But the door has a little bumpy bits at the end. And that's our booty. Our booty is a little bumpy bit. So today we are going to go through the hinge and the things that I see when I'm teaching the hinge technique. So a lot of the time people come in because they've seen an Instagram professional or they've seen somebody on social media doing an RDL. They think because that person can do it, they can then do it. Wrong. The hinge movement is actually quite a complicated movement to get right because you need to make sure that you're using and recruiting the most amount of tissues. The first time most of you have done a hinge movement, I bet you any money your lower back has hurt. And we don't want any lower back pain because this movement shouldn't be going through your lower back. It should be activating your hamstrings and your glutes only. And if you've got weak glutes, you may feel it in your back, but we don't want any weak glutes. So we're going to go through the hinge. So if you're a beginner at a hinge movement, the first hinge movement that you should be tackling is a body weight hinge. No weight hinging of the body weight because a lot of people haven't got enough flexion and extension in their back. So when they try to hinge, and I'm talking through the hips, your hinge looks like that. And you are now going to decide to load yourself up when you haven't got enough flexion in your back. So what we're going to do first is talk about that. If you're like me and you have tight hamstrings and they're not warm and you lean with your back, so I'm going to show you what my hinge looks like. I am not warm without being warm. It's going to be nice and soft and hinge. That is pretty much my maximum range. And I'm feeling pretty much 100% tension through my hamstrings. Before this video, should I have stretched and mobilized? Yes. Did I? No. And we don't judge. So we are going to basically go through this hinge movement, just body weight wise, just to kind of extend and lengthen that tissue. If you do have tight hamstrings, my best bet for you is soften those knees before you hinge. You see how much lower I can go just by softening my knees? Because I don't feel that tension. The softer your knees are, the more able you are to push those hips back and behind you. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking to push those hips back and behind us and feel the stretch here in the back of our legs. So we're going to go through the hinge movement without any weight. So we're going to cross our hands over our chest. We're going to soften our knees and we're going to push the hips back. Nice flat back. Stretch in the back of my legs. Feet completely grounded. Hands crossed over. Squeezing the glutes. So at this point, we're bringing our glutes in and then squeezing into our hamstrings to make us stand up. What this hinge would look like if you're using your back would be this. And you can see how much that back here wants to curve down. That's because it's all going through my back. By softening your knees, pushing my hips back, and making sure it's in my hamstrings. And if I didn't squeeze my glutes to stand up and I use my back, you see how much more different that movement looks like. When I watch this video, I'll slow and pause bits and pieces. Okay, so we can go soft knees, hands cross over the chest, pushing the hips back and behind us, finding the stretch in our hamstring to the maximum stretch. And then once you find that stretch, squeeze your glutes in, so tuck them in and bring it into your hamstrings. And that is how you do a successful RDL. So the second step that someone goes into creating an RDL is decide to front load themselves. That means putting the weight in the front. So basically going for a barbell and putting the weight in front of them. If you put a weight that's too heavy in front of you, this is what's going to happen to your back. I can demonstrate properly. I'll show you this, and we've all seen this, right? Some people deadlift. We don't want that today. I'm not saying it's wrong, but we don't want that today. If you've got the bar and you're looking like this, you don't want that. We want you, yeah, squeeze the glutes up. Okay? To get that action before we front load, we're going to back load ourselves. So you're going to grab a kettlebell, a barbell, a plate, and you're going to hold this plate behind you. And what it will do, it will lock your back out so it's not able to flex in that way, okay? So knees nice and soft, arms locked behind you, soft knees, pushing the hips back and behind you. And as you can see, your back is nice and flat. Squeeze the glutes and the hamstring to bring yourself up. And the thing is that we can literally stop here for the movement with the weight being backloaded and squeeze the glutes. But the issue is sometimes you can't hold that much weight behind you. But this is where most beginners need to be before they even consider lowering weighting themselves from the front. As you can see, as I'm kind of going through this movement, I'm able to hinge more and more, keeping my back flat, using my glutes and my hamstrings. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take this weight now into the front. Now we are front loading ourselves into that hinge movement. Nice soft knees. We're going to keep this weight really close to our thighs, and then we're going to slide that weight down our hips. Thinking of that same action of our hand being behind us, keeping that back flat, squeezing the glutes. So the form doesn't change. It's just the position of the weight now. Now that we've covered front loading and back loading of the weight, now you are ready to load yourself from the front. Before you load yourself from the front, the barbell in most gyms weighs 20 kilos. So the question is, can you load yourself with 20 kilos before you grab the barbell? Most of the time the answer is not. So then what we're going to do is either grab 2 10-kilo plates or 10-kilo dumbbells or a lighter dumbbell to get to that load. So the difference between here and here, we're going to keep that weight here on the side of our thighs, nice soft knees, and we're going to slide all the way back until we get that stretch position. I prefer to use kettlebells and plates for this just because I'm a little bit closer to the floor with like the plates, and then squeeze through using dumbbells to start off with. Once you get a bit more confident, then you can upgrade this movement to dumbbells, which are a little bit shorter. So we're going to do a couple more reps. And as you can see, ever so slightly through this movement, as my hamstrings are getting warmer, I'm able to now touch the floor with these plates, and my back is staying flat, and those hamstrings are being engaged. Okay, so now we're going to return this weight back. And now we're getting to the piece de resistance, the bit that you've been waiting for. We're now going to go into a barbell RDL. And as you can see, there's almost like 4 steps before you're ready for the barbell. So I'm not going to demonstrate with a 20-kilo bar, only because that weight will be far too light for me. So we're going to probably, for me to do a good demonstration, probably go up to like 60 kilos. So we've got 60 kilos now on the bar. This will enable me to give you a good demonstration, because when the weight's too light, the demonstration will be poor. So when you're doing an RDL is not meant to be lifted from the floor. An RDL is meant to be lifted and taken off the rack, taking the step back, and then you go into the movement, and then you re-rack the weight. If the load is heavy, you will rack the weight onto the floor, okay? But what we are going to do is unrack it, take 2 steps back, find our feet, and then hinge back. Same principles, nice tall chest, hips going back and behind you. So here we go. Knees nice and soft, keeping the core nice and tight, pushing the hips back and behind you, finding that stretch. Once you find that stretch, squeeze the glutes and the hamstrings to bring you up. Re-rack the weight, and then we're done. If you have found that helpful, please like and subscribe.